What's up, Motor Mindset family? Today we're diving into something that could make or break your car: fluids. Yeah, those often overlooked liquids that keep your engine, brakes, transmission, and more running smoothly. Neglect them, and you're looking at expensive repairs, or worse, a breakdown at the worst possible time. Trust me, I've seen it happen, and it's not pretty. We're talking hundreds, even thousands of dollars in repairs that could have been avoided with a little preventative maintenance. So, stick around because I'm breaking down the 6 essential fluids you need to check regularly to keep your ride in top shape. You don't need to be a mechanic to do this, guys. It's easier than you think, and I'm going to show you exactly how it's done. Alright, motor mindset. First up is engine oil. This stuff is like the lifeblood of your car. Your engine has a ton of moving parts and they're all working together at crazy high speeds, generating a lot of heat. Engine oil is specially designed to lubricate those parts, reducing friction, and preventing them from grinding themselves to dust. Without it, your engine would overheat and seize up in no time. Think of it like this: you wouldn't run a marathon without water, right? Well, your engine needs oil to go the distance. Now, how often you need to change your oil depends on a few things: the type of oil you use, how old your car is, and your driving conditions. But a good rule of thumb is to check your oil level at least once a month and get your oil changed every 3,000 miles for conventional oil or every 5,000 to 7,000 miles for synthetic. Checking your oil is super easy. Just pop the hood, locate the dipstick, usually yellow, pull it out, wipe it clean, reinsert it all the way, and then pull it out again and check the level. You want to make sure the oil level is between the 2 marks on the dipstick. If it's low, top it off with the recommended oil for your car. And if it looks dark and sludgy, it's definitely time for an oil change. Don't wait for the check engine light to come on, because by then, it might be too late. Remember, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and that's especially true when it comes to engine oil. Next up, transmission fluid. This one's a big deal, guys, because it keeps your transmission, the system that changes gears, running smoothly. Without it, shifting gears would be this clunky, jerky mess, and you'd probably damage your transmission in the process. We don't want that. Transmission fluid lubricates all those intricate parts inside your transmission, allowing them to engage and disengage smoothly. Plus, it helps to keep everything cool and prevents wear and tear. Now, checking the transmission fluid is a bit trickier than checking the oil, but it's still totally doable. First, you need to find the transmission fluid dipstick. It's usually located near the back of the engine and might have a red or orange handle. Just like with the engine oil, you want to pull out the dipstick, wipe it clean, reinsert it, and then pull it out again to check the level. The fluid should be pink or reddish and smell kinda sweet. If it's brown or black, smells burnt, or feels gritty, it's time for a fluid change. And trust me, you don't want to mess around with old transmission fluid. If you keep driving with dirty fluid, it can cause major problems like slipping gears, rough shifting, and even complete transmission failure. Now, how often you need to change your transmission fluid depends on your car and your driving habits. But a good rule of thumb is to check it at least twice a year and consider changing it every 30,000 to 60,000 miles. Let's talk about brake fluid, guys. This stuff is critical for your safety, no exaggeration. When you hit the brakes, you're relying on brake fluid to transmit the force from your foot to the brake pads, which then clamp down on the rotors to stop your car. Without brake fluid, your brakes simply wouldn't work, and that's a recipe for disaster. Now, brake fluid doesn't get used up like engine oil, but it does absorb moisture over time, which can lower its boiling point and even lead to corrosion in the brake lines. So it's super important to check the quality and level of your brake fluid regularly. You'll find the brake fluid reservoir near the firewall on the driver's side. It's a small, clear plastic container with a black cap. The cap usually has brake fluid printed on it so you can't miss it. Check the fluid level. It should be between the min and max lines. If it's low, top it off with fresh brake fluid that meets the specifications in your owner's manual. And while you're at it, take a close look at the fluid itself. It should be clear or slightly yellowish. If it's dark or murky, it means it's contaminated with moisture and needs to be flushed and replaced. It's a good idea to have your brake fluid flushed and replaced every 2 years or so, depending on your driving conditions and the recommendations in your owner's manual. Remember, guys, brakes are literally what keeps you safe on the road, so don't neglect your brake fluid. Ever noticed your steering wheel getting stiff or feeling heavy, especially at low speeds? That's often a sign that your power steering fluid is low or needs to be replaced. See, power steering fluid does exactly what it sounds like. It helps you steer your car with less effort. It works by using hydraulic pressure to assist the steering mechanism, making it easier to turn the wheels, especially when you're parking or maneuvering at slow speeds. Now, checking your power steering fluid is pretty straightforward. First, locate the power steering fluid reservoir. It's usually a cylindrical container with a black cap located near the power steering pump. The cap might have power steering fluid printed on it, or a picture of a steering wheel. Once you've found it, open the cap and check the fluid level. Just like with the other fluids, there should be min and max lines on the reservoir. If the fluid level is low, top it off with the recommended power steering fluid for your car. And while you're checking the level, also take a look at the fluid's condition. It should be clear or slightly pink. If it's dark brown or black, it's a sign that the fluid is contaminated and needs to be flushed and replaced. Power steering fluid can become contaminated with dirt, debris, and even metal shavings over time, which can wear down the seals and components of your power steering system. So, if your power steering fluid is looking a bit rough, it's best to get it flushed and replaced to keep your steering system in tip-top shape. Alright, motor mindset, let's talk about coolant, also known as antifreeze. This fluid is crucial for regulating your engine's temperature, preventing it from overheating in the summer and freezing solid in the winter. Your engine generates a ton of heat, and coolant circulates through the engine, absorbing that heat and preventing it from getting too hot. Now, checking your coolant level is super important, especially as the seasons change. You'll find the coolant reservoir a translucent plastic tank, usually near the radiator. It often has a brightly colored cap, usually yellow or green. Before you open the cap, make absolutely sure your engine is cold. Opening a hot radiator cap can release scalding hot coolant under high pressure, which can cause serious burns. Once the engine is completely cool, you can carefully open the coolant reservoir cap. The coolant level should be between the min and max lines marked on the reservoir. If it's low, you can top it off with a 50-50 mix of coolant and distilled water. Just make sure you're using the correct type of coolant for your car. Check your owner's manual or the label on the coolant bottle to be sure. And remember, never use straight water in your cooling system, especially in cold climates, as it can freeze and cause major damage. Over time, coolant can lose its effectiveness and become acidic, which can corrode the components of your cooling system. So it's a good idea to have your coolant flushed and replaced every 2 to 3 years, or as recommended by your owner's manual. Staying on top of your coolant level and condition will help keep your engine running at the optimal temperature year-round. Okay, so windshield washer fluid might not be as critical as the other fluids we've talked about, but let's be real. Driving with a bug-splattered or mud-caked windshield is not only annoying, it's downright dangerous. You need to be able to see clearly to drive safely, and that's where windshield washer fluid comes in. It helps to keep your windshield clean and clear, so you can focus on the road ahead. Now, checking and topping off your windshield washer fluid is probably the easiest car maintenance task there is. Just locate the washer fluid reservoir under the hood. It's usually a big clear plastic container with a windshield and squirting water symbol on the cap. Open the cap and check the fluid level. If it's low, top it off with, you guessed it, windshield washer fluid. You can find windshield washer fluid at any gas station, auto parts store, or even grocery store. It comes in different formulations for different climates, so if you live in a cold climate, be sure to get the washer fluid that's rated for freezing temperatures. And here's a little pro tip. Add a bit of rubbing alcohol to your washer fluid in the winter to prevent it from freezing in the lines. Keeping your windshield washer fluid topped off is especially important during bug season, winter driving, or if you're driving on dusty roads. Trust me, being able to see clearly makes a world of difference when you're behind the wheel. So there you have it, the 6 must-check fluids that keep your car running like a dream. Stay on top of these and you'll save yourself from costly repairs and unexpected breakdowns. Remember, a little preventative maintenance goes a long way. If you found this video helpful, smash that like button and subscribe for more car maintenance tips. And drop a comment. What's one fluid you always forget to check? Let's talk about it below. See you next time on Motor Mindset. Drive safe, everyone.